So assets that are in your own name with no beneficiary designation, when you die, have to go through a process called probate,
Right.
which is really the cleaning of the assets. So what happens is first we have to figure out who's entitled to manage your estate. That would be the personal representative.
Right.
Sometimes that's through a will. Sometimes, like you said, intestate, who has the right to do it. There could be a competition over that. But then that person has a job. They have to find the assets. They have to secure the assets. They have to create an accounting. They have to pay off creditors and taxes and all these debts, pay the court, pay the attorneys. All these things have to be done. The process usually takes, on an easy side, about 6 to 8 months. On a long side, 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare. How do you find things of people, like, if they're not documenting or
Yeah.
telling other people?
Well,
know?
and we sometimes have to use private investigators.
Wow.
Because that's the thing. Somebody dies. The biggest question I get is, I didn't know what mom or dad had. And so we have to find those assets first. And then, depending on the type of asset, if we're dealing with, okay, you died and the only thing you left was your homestead, let's say. Okay, it's not the end of the world, right?
Right,
Homestead
right.
is protected from creditors. In Florida, they account for homestead being valued at 0 for probate purposes. So it'll cost you like $5,000, take, probably 2 months. That's no problem. But when you have things that are like a business, for instance, you die, you own a business or rental property or investments in other people's businesses, those things, not only do they take a long time to value and probate, but they die on the vine. You have a rental property, right, in your name. Let's say it's not in an LLC, it's not in a trust, it's just in your name. You die. Even your wife trying to get that property, she's not entitled to collect rent. She's not entitled to fix the plumbing. She doesn't own it.
Right.
She has to become the personal representative, get the letter of administration, step into your shoes just to be allowed to secure the property. Then, you know what happens a lot is the renter says, screw you, I told your husband I'd pay him. I didn't tell you I'd pay you.
Wow.
So I'm not going to give you rent. Well, now she's got to go through the eviction process. And that could take months after the probate's done. So this is something that entire time, property taxes, insurance, overhead has to be paid. So now it's actually not an asset, it's a liability.
Right.
All because it wasn't secured in the right way. And so that's why every single client I have, and we're talking about 500 clients a year times the last 15 years, has a revocable trust. At least a basic revocable trust. Some people need tax planning, some people need asset protection planning, but everyone needs a trust. Because what we were talking about, the probate process, that happens whether you have a will or not. So the will, the only thing the will does, different from intestate, which intestate means that you died without any documents.
Right.
The only difference is, with a will, you're appointing who's in charge. So you might say, you know what, I love my wife, but I think my son should be in charge. He knows more about the assets. So
Oof, that's a lovely conversation.
I know, right?
That might be a quick way to death.